Push the stone! Heave! Powder in! Pack it tight! Clear the breach! Fire! Giant breach! Advance!
The battlefield has fallen silent. No armies remain in motion. Only the aftermath of one of history's most legendary last stands. Some battles are bruised, which in Kronis Karandr Fundast. Before sunrise, one king prepared to face an empire. They were outnumbered, but never outmatched. Before him stood the greatest empire of its age. Alexander saw what others did not. One opening was enough. When the great king withdrew, the battle was decided. At Gaugamela, one battle ended and a new world began. Before him stood the greatest natural barrier in Europe. Beyond these mountains waited Rome. The Alps showed no mercy. Every step forward had to be earned. The Alps demanded more than courage. They demanded endurance. No army had ever brought war elephants this far. No commander had ever dared. When the mountains were finally behind him, Italy. They believed the Alps would stop him. Instead, they opened the road to Rome. Hannibal had done the impossible. In 1206, Temujin became Genghis Khan. They were not the largest army. They were the fastest. From these endless plains rose an empire that would forever change the course of history. Some rivers divide kingdoms. This one would divide history. They had followed him through Gaul. Now they stood ready to follow him into history. There are moments when a single decision outweighs 1,000 victories. One step, and the Roman Republic would never be the same. Once the eagle crossed the river, there could be no return. The die was cast. With one decision, the Roman Republic entered its final chapter. He inherited an empire already fading into history. The empire's greatest threat did not arrive with fury, it arrived with certainty. The empire still stood, but everyone knew its final hour had come. Sometimes they surrender to time. The greatest empires do not always fall in battle. The eagle had watched over Rome for centuries. Today it descended for the last time. Empires rise and fall, but the greatest civilizations leave behind something stronger than power. They leave a legacy. The city was still alive, but fear had already emptied its streets. He could not save everyone. Yet every door deserved hope. The enemy could not be seen, yet every street carried its shadow. Fear spread faster than words, yet kindness still survived. Fear, even in humanity's darkest nights, there were those who refused to stop helping. History remembers the plague, but it also remembers those who endured it. For 2 months, an empire had waited for one final victory. Beyond the hills, hope had finally arrived. Two commanders, 2 armies, 1 battlefield. History would remember what happened next. 1 command, 1 charge, 1 moment that would become legend. Victory belongs to history. The cost belongs to those who lived it. Some battles decide a single day. Others reshape the course of history. The Siege of Vienna became one of those moments. Great battles are often won before they begin. The Allied commanders believed they understood Napoleon's plan.
It has begun.
Sometimes the greatest victory comes from convincing your enemy they have already won. As the morning sun broke through the fog, Napoleon revealed the battle he had planned all along. Victory belongs to those who prepare, but every battlefield remembers its cost. Austerlitz became more than a victory. It became the masterpiece of a strategist and one of history's defining battles. Before kingdoms, before writing, before history itself, humanity gathered here.
Long before cities, they raised monuments that would outlive millennia.
They carved more than animals. They carved the first symbols of human belief. Long before kingdoms, people came together to build something greater than themselves.
For reasons still unknown, they chose not to destroy it, but to preserve it beneath the earth.
Buried for over 11,000 years, its story waited patiently until humanity was ready to remember. Every monument begins not with stone, but with an idea. Every stone was shaped with patience, long before it became part of history. They did not move mountains, they learned how to move stone.
Move! Get it now! Hey! Keep the runs!
Stone by stone, layer by layer, an idea became eternity. Stone, not simply a tomb, but a monument to human ambition, precision, and endurance. Kingdoms rose, kingdoms fell. Yet this monument remained, a testament to human imagination, engineering, and perseverance. In the summer of 1798, one of history's greatest commanders arrived to stand before one of history's greatest monuments. More than 4,000 years had passed, yet the Great Pyramid still stood, waiting for another generation to wonder how it had been built. Napoleon brought an army, but he also brought scholars. Their work would help introduce ancient Egypt to the modern world. History remembers this as the Battle of the Pyramids. Though the ancient monuments stood far beyond the battlefield, they watched another empire rise. According to tradition, Napoleon reminded his soldiers that 40 centuries looked down upon them. Whether those exact words were spoken, the pyramids had already witnessed thousands of years of history. Empires leave victories. Knowledge leaves a legacy. The Egyptian expedition became more than a military campaign. It opened a new chapter in humanity's understanding of ancient Egypt. Subscribe for more cinematic history. For centuries, the language of ancient Egypt had remained silent. One scholar believed it could speak again. Royal names became the first clue. The symbols were not merely pictures. Some carried the sounds of spoken language. Years of questions became a single answer. The symbols were not silent images. They were the sounds of a forgotten language. According to a long-standing tradition, Champollion hurried to share his discovery. The language of ancient Egypt was no longer beyond human understanding. For centuries, these inscriptions had remained silent. Now, their voices could be heard once again, not through sound, but through understanding. Empires rose, empires fell, yet the words carved into these stones endured. After centuries of silence, ancient Egypt spoke once again. Not because history had changed, but because humanity had finally learned how to listen. In the summer of 1799, during routine construction at Fort Julian, an ordinary stone began to reveal an extraordinary story. In the stone, 3 scripts, a mystery waiting to be understood. They did not yet understand the message, but they understood its importance, so they preserved every detail. The stone crossed borders. Its inscriptions reached scholars across Europe. No one could yet read its oldest words, but the search had begun. It was never the answer. It was the key. A key that would one day unlock the forgotten language of ancient Egypt. A single stone could not restore a lost language, but it gave humanity the key to begin. Ancient Egypt was silent for centuries. Soon, it would speak again. For years, Howard Carter searched the Valley of the Kings. Many believed nothing remained to be found. But one final excavation would change history forever. For years, the desert had kept its secret. Then, beneath a thin layer of sand, the first step appeared. Step by step, the staircase led downward. At its end, a sealed doorway waited in silence, unchanged for over 3,000 years. With extraordinary care, Howard Carter opened a window into a world unseen for more than 3,000 years. Beyond the wall, history was waiting. Yes, wonderful things.
The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb became one of archaeology's greatest achievements. It revealed not only extraordinary treasures but an enduring connection to one of humanity's oldest civilizations.
On an ordinary morning, Pompeii awakened like any other day. Its people had no reason to believe their world was about to change forever. The people of Pompeii had felt earthquakes before. A small tremor drew little attention. For most, it was simply another ordinary day. Then the mountain gave its first warning. Most people looked only for a moment before returning to their ordinary lives. The mountain had awakened. Ash began to fall across Pompeii, and the ordinary afternoon would never return. As ash covered the streets, thousands chose to flee. Some would reach safety, many never would.
Pompeii vanished beneath volcanic ash, but it was never forgotten. Its streets, its homes, and the lives once lived here still speak across nearly 2,000 years.
On April 14, 1912, the RMS Titanic crossed the North Atlantic beneath calm skies. For those on board, it seemed like another perfect evening. From the grand staircase to the engine rooms below, more than 2,000 people called Titanic home, if only for a few days.
Iceberg, right ahead.
Shortly before midnight, a dark shape emerged from the silence. Within seconds, history changed forever. At 11:40 that night, Titanic met the iceberg. The collision lasted only seconds, but its consequences would last forever.
You'll be safe. Yeah.
As the hours passed, hope rested in the lifeboats. Acts of courage were found not in legends, but in ordinary people.
More than a century later, Titanic still rests beneath the Atlantic. Its steel has faded, but its story continues to remind us of the strength and fragility of human lives.